Is your life on a treadmill going faster and faster but not really getting anywhere? Most people are chasing something these days, thinking, I'll be happy when I have more money, when I look better, or when I retire. Now, some people know they're on the treadmill, want to get off, but don't know how, so they keep running, assuring themselves nothing will happen, even at this incredible pace. Now, maybe nothing will happen if someone is truly in charge of their stride, but most people aren't. They keep pushing, running on empty, until finally there's a crisis. Breaking down is one way off the treadmill. For some, it's the only way.
Somebody has to have a reason to change. There has to be a motivator to change. And all too frequently, what happens is the motivator comes in the form of a significant, debilitating crisis in life.
We do not have to change if we choose not to. But then if we choose not to change, we should accept our quality of life. If we are dissatisfied with our quality of life, then we need to change.
Obviously, we want to avoid crisis, but our society moves at such a pace it's difficult to slow down before something forces us to. Sometimes we need a catalyst for change, but all too often that catalyst is a negative, like losing a business or a marriage, the death of a loved one, or our own serious illness or injury. Before crisis hits, we worry about change. We worry, how would I pay the bills? What would people say? Or how could I justify taking a risk? But if crisis does hit, say you get sick, then you don't have to justify. Friends and family members don't question you quitting your job or selling the house. Now everyone understands you have to change, so they support you. But why wait until disaster hits? If your doctor told you you had 1 year left to live, would you live it the way you are now? Think about it. 1 year to live. Would you make some changes? In the next half hour, we'll talk to 3 people who hit crisis when they got very sick. All 3 now refer to their experience as their wake-up call. We'll hear their stories and we'll see what we can learn from them. Because the obvious question is, why wait until you're dying to make the changes that'll make you happy? Everyone should be diagnosed with cancer. That's right, think of it. Think what the world would be like. People would learn to enjoy every minute of every day in case it was their last. They would learn the true meaning of life. Is your life on a treadmill going faster and faster, but you feel like you're running on empty? It's a common problem not many people know how to deal with. But what would you do if your doctor told you you had 1 year left to live? It's amazing how quickly we can change when we feel we have to. But why do we wait until that point to make those changes? We'll explore that question with 3 people who've been there in running on empty. If your doctor told you you had 1 year to live, would you live it the way you are now, or would you make some changes? We'll talk to 3 people who got very sick, but now refer to their illness as their wake-up call.
I think if there's a triumph in having gotten cancer, having heard that diagnosis, it's that the outcome is that every single day I wake up and my first conscious thought is, what a gift. I have a whole day, and with that day, I can do absolutely anything I want. I can choose to be happy. I can choose to be positive. I can choose to get out there and just live that day with everything I've got.
Tobin Anderson reaches for new heights every day. She's training to reach the world's 7 highest mountain peaks. She's already gone much higher than most people could even dream of. In January of 1997, Tobin Anderson reached the summit of Mount Vincent, Antarctica's highest peak.
Yeah! Up to Mount Vincent. Well done.
The view was amazing, but even more so when she looked back over the territory she'd covered over the past 2 years. It's a journey that started with a mammogram and then biopsy.
My mom was sitting with me, and my surgeon walked back into the room, and those huge metal doors swung shut behind her. It was the most final image I've ever seen. And she leaned back against them and looked at me and said, "Tobin, it's cancer. It's really bad. You're fighting for your life." And it's devastating. You know, to be sitting there one minute, I just celebrated my 36th birthday. I thought, wow, I've got this whole great life just looming out there ahead of me. And now someone is telling me that, no, maybe you don't have more life out there ahead of you. Maybe you don't have a chance to really find the happiness you want. Maybe this is it. Maybe it's over. I would say that without a doubt, there's a direct connection between the way I live my life, my lifestyle, and my getting sick, getting cancer. I think other people's expectations of me were really a driving force in what motivated me in my life, motivated me to be in a job where, when I look back, I was really not happy. You know, I think most of us, particularly women, tend to live our lives trying to be all things to all people all of the time. Be the most nurturing mother and wife, be the best employee, be the most beautiful, the most slim, the most gorgeous, the best dressed, the nicest. We're just overloaded with images of what we're supposed to be. And I don't think it's a conscious thing that so many of us just try to live out that existence without ever stopping to think for 1 second, what does it mean? What do I really want? Does any of this matter to me at all?
It's hardly news that many of us feel the most pressure to conform and perform at work. But sometimes we take those expectations to extremes.
I was a tyrant, an absolute tyrant. And when I reflect on that now, I often wonder how anybody could ever work for Dale O'Hara. It was a game, and you had to win. There was no second place in this game. And that's what I say. It became an obsession.
Dale O'Hara was director of news and public affairs at a TV station. Now he's on long-term disability. He admits he worked too hard.
If somebody tried to tell me to slow down or do it differently, I'm not sure that I would have had time to stop and listen to that. And probably I wouldn't have believed it anyway. Well, I didn't feel that I could talk to anybody, because I think to me that would have been a sign of weakness. I didn't want to admit to anybody that maybe I had to slow down, maybe I had to stop and just rest for a little bit. Men don't do that. Men keep going.
Dale couldn't slow down mentally, so his body did it for him. In 1993, he had a heart attack. He spent 9 days in hospital and then went right back to work. Doctors told him to change his lifestyle, but he kept smoking and, as he says, didn't learn a thing. 2 years later, Dale had a series of strokes and his kidneys broke down. Doctors told Dale's wife he wouldn't make it.
Do you know when this hit me? It hit me when I was laying on a dialysis machine at Foothills Hospital. And the one thing that hurt me the most was I thought about all of the things that I could have done or should have done with my family.
In the middle of the night before surgery, Dale watched an electrical storm out his hospital window and wondered whether this storm would be his last. His mortality staring him in the face, he asked for a priest.
I figured this could really be the end, and that was the first time I thought that, you know, maybe I'm not going to be there tomorrow morning. So the priest came, and I remember him walking into the hospital room, and he was soaking wet, and we sat there and we talked. He talked, and I cried for several hours, and he left. And I thought, geez, you know, one more sunrise. That's all I want.
Dale did get that sunrise and did change his lifestyle, but he had yet another brush with death in January 1997. Doctors found a lump on his lung. Dale thought the worst, and that this time he would lose the battle for sure. But when doctors were about to do a biopsy, they couldn't find the lump and later dismissed it as an infection.
When I discovered in a matter of seconds that the lump had disappeared and that I could actually get off the stretcher and walk out of that hospital, I thought there's a reason for me to survive all of this. And I find reasons every day why I got through strike three. I hate to admit it, but looking back on all of that, I wonder how I could have been that stupid not to understand that I had to start looking after myself, and what I was doing as a job really wasn't that important.
It took Dale 3 times to get his priorities straight, but the fact is, most people don't get the message, many aren't happy, and you can't help but wonder why.
What I hear quite often from the people that I work with is that they never really considered the consequences of the decisions that they made for themselves from day to day. It was more a matter of a routine way of meeting the obligations in life.
What has happened in the past is that our self-worth has been so externally bound by what we wear, what we drive, what job we do, that we've stopped looking within where our true self-worth is. I think that people would like change if somebody else does the work or helps them prepare it. But the internal change is the journey within oneself, which only you can do. And if you have that responsibility, sometimes it's very difficult for people to invest in themselves as much as they've invested in others.
This house in an affluent neighborhood is the site of an interesting tale of transformation. Ginger Kunis and her family live here. Ginger's life was once focused on image and status, and her home was a symbol of that. But along with its owner, this house now stands for much more. It's home base for the Hope Group. Hope stands for helping ourselves psychologically every day. Ginger now helps others dealing with cancer. This is one of many positive changes that resulted from her cancer, which hit 12 years ago.
When I look back at my life before my diagnosis of cancer, and even when I look at pictures of myself before my diagnosis of cancer, when I look in those eyes, I see a sadness and an emptiness because there wasn't a balance, and that's what was missing, was a balance.
Ginger teaches we must go inside ourselves to find our own answers.
For most people, life is a roller coaster ride, up and down and up and down, and whether I'm up depends on what's going on out there. Whether I'm down, again, a function of what's going on out there. What a horrible way to live, because you're basically saying, I'm stuck. We talk about nurturing ourselves, and women run off to the manicurist and have their nails done and their hair frosted, and it can feel good for a short period of time, but that's not nurturing yourself. The nurturing I'm talking about is an inner journey, and that comes from finding time every day to cultivate stillness and silence. Because it's in the silence that you begin to find out, who am I? Relax the hands, the fingers, and the fingertips. I discovered a lot of pain on the inside, and that really surprised me because I thought I was this woman that was in control, that was confident, that was capable, could handle anything, strong. People leaned on me. Just ask me, right? I'll do it. We can't continue to live out of balance and not have something be affected by that.
The medical world is slowly recognizing the importance of listening to the body. None of us has a problem believing the skeletal, circulatory, or respiratory systems are connected, yet many maintain the mind is separate.
But if that was true, how could I will myself to wiggle my toes? In the summer of 1997, the magazine Scientific American printed an entire special issue on the mysteries of the mind.
The opening article begins by stating, the brain and immune system continuously signal each other, often along the same pathways, which may explain how state of mind influences health. It goes on to say, there is growing evidence that our view of ourselves and others, our style of handling stresses, as well as our genetic makeup, can affect activities of the immune system. The body performs amazing feats like healing its own broken bone. We don't question how it does that. In fact, we don't pay much attention to many of the functions our bodies perform, some of which are triggered by the thoughts we think. Here's an example. 3 people are boarding the same airplane. One person is on a business trip to make a crucial presentation. He's worked up about it and his body is producing adrenaline. Another person is on vacation. He feels pleasure and relief. His body produces endorphins. The third person is considering flying lessons and feels nervous excitement. She's also producing adrenaline. Now, obviously, you can't control every situation, but it is important to be aware of your reactions.
The only real control that you may be able to exercise in life is how you choose to react to the things that happen to you from day to day, week to week, and year to year.
Taking responsibility for one's own life is what I consider a commandment of life. I think it is the single most important thing, self-responsibility.
There's a growing number of books telling us our mental and physical well-being rely on us making healthy decisions. Most of us instinctively know running on empty isn't healthy, but what we don't know is how to turn our lives around and live life on our own terms. Making changes to your life doesn't have to be overwhelming or scary. We'll have a few simple ideas for you when we come back.
When forced to confront fear, a lot of people step back. Those who step forward move forward. There's absolutely nothing wrong with wanting to get ahead in life. The danger comes when people get obsessed, expending all their energy on a single pursuit. The goal is to treat life like a garden. You wouldn't think of filling an entire garden with just one type of flower. You want a variety. The same goes for activities in day-to-day living. Opposite those who live with a single pursuit are those with no direction at all. Some people wander through life aimlessly. Neither extreme of just focusing in on one thing or not focusing on anything at all will really get you very far in the long run. One of the keys to happiness is tapping into the power of purpose, and you can find your purpose by setting goals or targets. Now, before we go any further, I want to acknowledge goal setting is one of the most overused terms of the 90s, but we're talking about something a little different. Setting goals is like setting targets. It gives you something to aim for. Most of us have things we want to accomplish in the area we consider the most important, but it's important to set goals in all areas of your life, work and play and relationships. The key is to find a balance. Here are a few guidelines to get you going. Start by creating 3 different headings: work, recreation, relationships. There are other categories, but just begin with these. Write down everything you'd like to accomplish under these headings. That's any activity or even an idea that would make you happy. Then decide which are the most important to you.
So if someone tells me that their priority in life is to spend time with friends and family, yet that never happens, then one of the things I will suggest to them is perhaps they need to prioritize it. And one of the ways that they can begin to prioritize it is to schedule it in. And to see that as part of a schedule that it holds as much importance and value as their 10 a.m. meeting with their supervisor that morning.
Get a piece of paper and start writing down what really makes me happy. What do I really want to do in life? What do I want to accomplish? And how do I want to be remembered? Write it down on paper, and there's the target, and that's your purpose.
It has to go beyond the need and want to how do I achieve what it is that I need and want. Ask yourself what it is that you're doing every day that makes you happy.
Setting goals can seem a little overwhelming if all you do is look at the end point, which can seem a long ways away. But if you focus on what's right in front of you, your task won't seem quite so daunting. Take it one step at a time, and you'll be amazed at the progress you can make.
You know, I really found when I finally got to the summit of Vincent that, yes, it was a beautiful experience and the view was gorgeous, but when I look back, what I remember is literally, you know, putting one foot in front of the other. All the little steps that you take to get somewhere. It dawned on me one day that, like anything else, if I wanted to be happy, if I chose happiness, then I had to take it. I had to fight for it. So I made a deal with myself. I promised myself that I'll never put my bare feet on that floor in the morning until I have something positive to take into the day. And I think it's a process we all have to go through constantly in our lives. I mean, you can never let your guard down, because if you do, it's all just going to come crowding back in on you, all those old patterns and habits.
It may not feel like it sometimes, but you really do have control over how you live. Life is very much like a river, and there are a number of ways you can approach it. Some people move with the current, and they live with an incredible sense of ease. Other people, however, don't want to go with the flow. They want to stay exactly where they are, so it's like they're hanging on to a branch. Now, that branch can be the past, a relationship, whatever, but they won't let go of it. Now, other people choose to withdraw from the river altogether. They go up, sit on the shore, and watch life pass them by. Now, the danger is these people fall asleep, don't wake up until they're 50 or 60 years old, and then they wonder, where did my life go? To live life, to truly live life, you've got to take the plunge. Now, that means different things to different people, but in essence, you've got to take a few risks.
I spend a lot of time with people dying, and I see what happens to people at the end of their lives when they have not explored the possibilities because they were limited by fear, for whatever reason. They don't follow their souls, their yearning to find a purpose. And there's a regret. The end of their life is very much marked by regret and anxiety.
And I have always found that no matter what the risks are, if you truly follow the journey that is dictated from within, you become successful.
You know, you frequently hear people say, well, I could have done that, but I didn't because of this. You know, it's the yes, but syndrome. And, you know, it's the but that really paralyzes you from trying the yes.
One of the biggest yes, but excuses is, yes, but I have no time. Life is already a juggling act. It's hard to imagine adding more things to do, even if it is for your own happiness. The reality is, however, many of us take on responsibilities that simply aren't ours. We carry the load for others, but that doesn't help you or them. So to make time for yourself, throw a few responsibilities back to where they belong, so you can be more responsible for yourself. Another way we consume our time and energy is by not giving careful thought to the people we spend time with. We continue relationships that really aren't working anymore.
I think now I look and say life's a little bit too short, and I recognize now that as much as I'd love to be able to fix everybody and everything, I can't. It's not my job. It's my job to make myself happy, and I have to be able to let other people have their own journey. And if they don't choose happiness, and if they don't choose a positive attitude and way of living, then I don't want them in my life anymore.
We're so careful to see that no one gets hurt. No one, that is, but ourselves. It would be great if there was a roadmap to get us through life, but really no one can tell you which road you have to take. Ginger, Tobin, and Dale all know you have to find your own way. All three are now very healthy and living life to the fullest, and encourage you to do the same.
When I look back over the last 12 years and I recognize the change in myself, the ability to make different choices, new choices, that awareness came from spending time in silence by myself.
You know, our inner voices tell us everything we need to know if we choose to listen and hear. I'd say, why would you want to wait until you had no choice? Why would you want to wait till you had a heart attack or were diagnosed with cancer or your marriage fell apart or you lost your job or started relying on alcohol or drugs to get you through the day? If something's not right in your life, do something about it now. Just sit back, take some time out and think really hard about what it is, and then fix it.
Well, my philosophy is pretty simple. And it's a well-worn cliche, but I don't mind using it. It's just live every day. Live every day. And by the end of the day, feel satisfied of what you've done, what you've accomplished. It's real simple.